Hey everyone, welcome to another Anime Kingdom review. See by the title below, yes, this is on episode 16 of Boku no Hero Academia Season 2. And honestly, what else can I say but once again, another pretty damn exciting, awesome, hyped up episode. I mean, what else, I expected it was going to be one, considering how the last episode hyped me up, and the very ending, of course, showed Stain and Ida finally confronting each other, Izuku going into the city while Nomus are destroying it. Come on. What else is there to expect besides gonna have some super crazy fight in this episode? And that's the crazy thing, honestly. This episode was super intense and super emotional, and it wasn't only like that because of the action scene. I mean, come on, I love that action scene. The fighting between Izuku, Todoroki going up against Stain was just pure epicness and pure awesomeness, and honestly, like, that part already made the episode awesome. But the crazy thing is, that is not even the only part that got me hyped up in this episode. It was actually pretty interesting to, hear some stuff about, of course, Todoroki and how he's changed from when we last saw him, of course, in the tournament days. There was that whole question mark of, what happened when he confronted his mom? What happened when he finally went to talk to her? As it didn't show that for us. And I've been wondering, that for quite a while. And finally, we do get to see that he really has changed. And it's honestly all because of Izuku and those few words of, telling him that's his power, And finally, he was able to go talk to his mom. It ended up working really well. And she said, she'll be happy as long as he finally starts to move forward and everything, to which he finally is. And she, of course, that means that he's finally getting closure with his mother, and his mother is finally, doing better as well, I guess. It didn't really show her after that fact, but obviously it's getting better considering they were able to have that talk, and she wanted him to move forward and to use his fire ability as well. So we finally get to see that in this episode as well, that we finally get to see him using his fire abilities, In the tournament, obviously, he used it a little bit, but he didn't really have much control. Finally, in this one, you do see that he has much more mastery over it, along with, combining it with his ice abilities. So, great job for him. And I really did like, honestly, the whole aspect of him pretty much having like a comparison to Ida. He knows how Ida is feeling. He's probably one of the only few people that can. Sure, it's not the same thing with, like, he didn't have a family member that ended up pretty much disabled and no longer being able to be a hero, but it was in a way just like that, because his mother ended up getting hurt, and obviously hurting him, and she's psychologically pretty much messed up right now, and that is why it's all because of Endeavor. So he has the same eyes. He sees that Ida had the same eyes that he does when he looks at Endeavor, which is of course why he was able to kind of explain to him and tell him, stand up, if you don't want us to fight like this, you gotta stand up. And obviously a big thing for this episode was not only all about Todoroki, like I've been talking about, but it is also about Ida, obviously, as we see in the past couple episodes. In this episode, that everything has been boiling up for him to this point where all he cares about is, of course, the revenge on Stain for his brother. He literally does not care about anything else. It's gotten to the point where literally he has lost sight of what a hero should be like. And that's why I really enjoyed the flashbacks that they had thrown in here, kind of seeing how when he was younger and how he looked up to his brother and looked up to how he believed how someone should be a hero. And obviously he's kind of just throwing that all away for his revenge and everything. And I really loved it. That's why I said I really loved the way the flashbacks were thrown into this, because you start to see that he's starting to slowly understand what's going on and slowly come back to us and slowly remember what a hero should be like, especially considering the fact that obviously Izuku came in, Todoroki came in, and the reasons why they were there, unlike how he was there, why he was there, of course. And it came to the point where obviously, finally hearing stuff, Todoroki talking, saying, like, if he was telling them to leave, he didn't want them to fight. Well, if you don't want them to fight, you have to stand up. You have to finally be able to fight on your own feet. And of course, not just do this for revenge, but do this for justice, do this for what your brother believed in and everything, and what you believed in your brother. Obviously, his brother wouldn't want him tarnishing his name and using his name as a way for revenge. He wanted to give him his name because he believed in his brother. He believed in Ida. And obviously, right now, at the very beginning, Ida was not getting that at all, but I'm pretty sure in the next episode, we will slowly start to see him finally realize that and finally stand up and finally be able to help Todoroki and Izuku be able to fight off Stain. Because obviously now I'm going to talk about the battle, guys. Izuku's epic entrance was just literally one of my favorite parts of this episode. Him just jumping back and forth on the building, then coming out of nowhere and just punching Stain in the face. Literally, it is so awesome to finally be able to watch Izuku use his, sure, he's not going full strength, but finally be able to use his the power the way it was supposed to. He's not hurting himself. He's finally being able to use his speed and jump around, be able to evade, and of course still use that intellect that he does have and be able to practically, he could have beaten Stain right at the beginning, but of course he didn't want to use his full powers. I would have just used my full powers. Who cares about my arm breaking at that point, at least? Because you want to take him out, you want to be able to save everyone else. Your arm being broken is fine. He found the opportunity to be able to knock him down to the ground. Unfortunately, 5% was not good enough to be able to take him out, and of course that's why one of the reasons that we finally get to see, as I was wondering in the last episode, what the hell his power is, what the hell Stain's power really is. We've been wondering what his quirk has, is, and we saw that it had something to do when it cuts someone, they cannot move, they have no ability to move, and it was like, what's going on? Why can they not move? Does it have something to do with when he cuts them? And it ends up being that his thing is called like blood curdling or something, and that when he cuts you and I guess licks the blood, he is able to, of course, make it so you cannot move. And then, of course, we also find a little bit of a weakness in the fact that it depends on your blood type. Of course, who figures that out? None other than Izuku, obviously. Sure, people have been wondering that already. He says that the reporters and the news reporters and everything have been wondering that his cutting and everything has something to do with that. That's what his quirk is. And of course, Izuku, being smart, finally got to realize that there was three, options of what can be going on here. And of course, being the villain he is, every villain's just gotta tell his secret for some reason, and tells him, yeah, it's because of blood type. And obviously we find out that depending on your blood type pretty much depends how long the effects of his quirk really work on you. And luckily Izuku's blood type is blood type O, which is of course the one that is able to be unaffected faster, obviously. And we saw him able to get up and fight. Luckily, obviously, his quick thinking also got Todoroki there with his being able to put down his coordinates on the GPS. And luckily, most people would be like, what, why is he putting that up? There's no other information. Why is this up? But of course, Todoroki, knowing Izuku, would know, he wouldn't just put that up for no reason and everything. Rushed there. We see an epic entrance with him now. We see an epic battle with him being able to use both his ice and fire ability. And honestly, it turned into a pretty damn awesome battle where Stain honestly was just destroying them, even though they were able to push back and everything. Todoroki's just getting cut up all over the place, and barely being able to push him back until finally Izuku is able to help as well. And even then, at the end, you saw Izuku got cut once again, which means that it's only Todoroki. He is hurt. He needs to protect everyone as well, which means that, of course, that probably means that Ida is going to have to stand up and help fight them as well until maybe hopefully the pros do arrive on the scene, as they are still, of course, that's the other big part of the episode, was the fact that the pros were still having to work with all the damn, nomus in the city. And even though Endeavor seems to be able to just one-shot one of them, which obviously it makes sense, him being the, second best, hero in the world. So it makes sense. But I kind of wanted to see Gran Torino use his abilities more, because he was like, oh man, I never had to, actually try. So it looked like the point that he was actually going to have to try against him. Unluckily, of course, we see Endeavor being his ass self, coming in just like burning, like, good job, old timer, but I got this. And it's like, man, do you know who you're talking to? This is Gran Torino. You could probably kick your ass, But overall, it's probably going to be like Endeavor and Gran Torino somehow appearing later on when it seems like all hope is lost. I'm predicting that's what's going to happen. Even though Ida does finally stand up, I'm pretty sure that Ida and Todoroki are going to get pushed back. And then, of course, when it looks like all is dire and everything's going to go bad, Gran Torino and Endeavor will probably come around and save the day. Something along those lines. Something like that. I don't think All-Star Stain is going to be killed or defeated yet, but he's probably going to have to end up retreating with the rest of the villains, obviously. And I don't know how they're going to be able to take out the rest of the Nomus. Maybe Endeavor just burns them all, because it seems like that's how it is, as these, Nomus are not as strong as the one that fought All Might. But it'd be cool to see some, big time pros going against these Nomus, because we already saw the battle between All Might and one of the Nomus was pretty damn awesome. So I want to see a little bit more of that as well, but still, nonetheless, this episode was awesome, emotional. Love the development for our characters. Love the action for this episode. The soundtrack, once again, as always, just being perfect for every scene. And honestly, I cannot wait to see how the next episodes do go. So yeah, that's all I really got to say, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Anime Kingdom review. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Is there anything I missed and you want to talk about, comment below as well. And if you did enjoy it, give it a like. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe for more content. And as always, guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts, good, bad, however you guys felt. Feel free to comment below. And until next time, guys, see ya.